I'd like to present my work with developing the Open Government Partnership Explorer. I'll provide a quick intro, describe the client in the brief, talk about the user needs, the data, and then the strategies for solving all this, and the choice of software. So very quickly, the Open Government Partnership is a open government organization that produces a bunch of reports, and these should be made accessible and searchable for all, and with some particular helps for researchers using this. So with the client, the route was basically I needed to understand the user needs, look at how the data could be structured to become usable, iterate the visual design, and build and test while checking whether it worked. The client is a multi-governmental organization established in the democratically optimistic 2011, when we all thought we were heading towards more democracy and not less. And the idea was to make government more participative by making it more open and creating processes which involved citizens more often. So to accomplish this, it organizes meetings between government entities and civil society entities to develop collaboration projects. And these collaboration projects end up as a so-called commitment to the Open Government Partnership. And each year, this commitment is evaluated by independent researchers, and a report in sort of Excel format is produced. And this is what I needed to make accessible. So the client wanted these reports to become accessible to all, kind of on a general level, and to provide some help for researchers going through all these reports particularly. I'll just give a quick look at the interface. So in the end, it ended up like this. You have these search fields up here. You have the display of the commitments down here listed per country. You have the commitment text, title, and then the text. And as you scroll through the here there's quite a few review criteria, and they're color coded. See, there's one thing that's not working today. Well, it's a nice demo effect. As regards the user needs, the interface should be generally accessible for all users, overviewable, searchable. Basically, the organization of information should be structured in a logical way. For researchers, in particular, it should be easy for them to overview which filtering criteria are active, be able to use their eyes rather than use their color sense to kind of get a sense of what the search results look like and indicate, and get some more statistical tools to evaluate the results and be able to export their findings. So the data was a bit of a trick. It was basically a big spreadsheet with endless numbers of columns with different review criteria, and I didn't want to make a basic spreadsheet that would involve a lot of reading for each column. So going through the data, I noticed that for each column there was a limited number of review criteria, something like 8 at the most, and they could be ordered in a linear way from basically good to bad, this enabled one to create a color scale which went from green to red, indicating kind of the level of good to bad, and then the same color scale could be used across all columns. So it would be easier to for researchers to compare the output of each column and and then also overview the results quite easily. So yeah, this whole coloring strategy was the key aspect of the interface. Um, the if we go and look at the interface, then for instance, if there's the color scale, and if I turn off some options, there's not a lot visible in terms of dear old Afghanistan. So yeah, let's see, let's turn off Afghanistan so we don't, or we look only at, no, that was a bit wrong. Let's look at a few more countries, but not Afghanistan, so there's more color on the screen. So for instance, if we just want to look at everything with relevance clear in public accountability, we can do that, and then we can sort of scan the results, and kind of generally looks better, except for all these unreviewed commitments. I'll just go and reset that while I skip back. So the coloring kind of helps with seeing what search criteria have been activated and what the general tendency of the results are. To provide a bit more, to provide some help in the statistical analysis, one can hover over each column, and then you get kind of the tendency in a statistical manner. And well, this is very balanced on access on information, relevance clear half the time, relevance unclear half the time. Oh well. And if you just want to see numbers, then for each country, you can just see how many commitments for each country live up to this criteria. Let's see, I'll reset and go back. Then as while not kind of the typical thing you have for data visualization, there's a debug tool. Let's see, there's a debug tool to help with cleaning data. So with the debug mode, cells which have bad encoding, data encoding that are not recognized, are highlighted. So here we can see that yeah, there's two cells that have unknown highlighting, whilst the other cells are kind of in good order. So it makes it a bit easier to go and have to go through the data and find exactly what row the badly encoded data was on. The software used was basically JavaScript with the jQuery library for DOM manipulation. Admittedly, the project was made in 2005, and there was a bit of a worry about cross-platform compatibility for DOM manipulation, so I used jQuery. The rest, I happily, though it taking a bit of time, wrote in JavaScript. I'm very happy. I was very happy to arrive at kind of a model of how to build this, and I basically made a rendering engine based on some metadata. And so the metadata, there's metadata for each column, saying how it should look like, what it's called, where it should read the data from in the CSV, and then there's the filtering criteria metadata as well for each column, which says how to, like, what are the filtering criteria and what do they look like in the data. So based on this metadata, the software can read the CSV and parse it and make the whole DOM page, and also provide the relevant filtering criteria. So if you want to move columns around in the interface, you just move the this metadata for each column around, or yeah, add, delete as you please. This was very handy. In terms of what would I do better in the future if I were doing this again, well, a bit more mobile friendly would be nice, and yeah, but the client didn't have so much money, but they had a lot of needs, so we sort of did one version, and we did the thing that would satisfy everyone, well, except maybe the mobile users, but in the future, maybe one could just collapse all the columns just into colors, and they would fit on a mobile screen or something. So that's basically this project. Thank you very much.